Hello, my dears. It's Monday.
Oh,
and we've still...
Dame Edna, then.
Yeah. Hello, possums. It's still an international week. It's a glorious thing when you wake up on a Monday and you think, oh, we've still got a bit more.
I'm sure everyone agrees.
Well, if they don't, Jim, sod them, quite frankly. But before the sodding, let me try and win you over. OK, so we are going to talk about all that juicy international football. Before we do, though, something we can all get excited about, Jim Campbell, even you, is it's just 11 more sleeps until Football Ramble Time Tunnel.
I'm bloody excited for it. I don't know about Jim, but I am bloody excited.
And not just the sleep.
No. Well, if you're not sure if Football Ramble Time Tunnel will be your cup of tea or coffee, or if you've had some plans cancelled that night, then let me sell it to you. Pete's made a large prop out of paper mache and is going to use it.
I was surprised about how big it was.
Yes.
Like, I know he said he was going to go away and do it, and he's painted it and everything.
Yeah.
And when he sent the photo around, kind of saying, "Is this all right?" The scale of the photo,
I couldn't believe my luck.
it was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
one man on his own did that.
Yeah.
And it was... So, look, if you like listening to us on this silly little podcast, then I think you'll love Time Tunnel. It's not just a normal podcast recording on stage. I think because often...
It's not memo laptops. There'll be no laptops allowed.
No laptops. We're not Kraftwerk.
No, we're not. No.
We are the Sex Pistols.
Probably as influential as Kraftwerk, though, in the football podcast space, I would say.
And the Pistols.
Yeah.
Everyone claims to have been at our first live show.
We formed at Manchester Free Trade Hall.
With the emphasis on the word.
Now we're complete.
Yeah. But we haven't got any butter endorsements.
Oh dear, more of a margarine man anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, loads going on. It's going to be outrageous. It's going to be funny. It's going to be full of surprises. Not sure. Hopefully no nudity, but again you can't.
Well, there'll be papier-mâché involved.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll cover it all up. So get your last-minute tickets at footballramblelive.com. That's footballramblelive.com. We will not disappoint you, I promise. It'll be a hoot, an absolute hoot, and nothing but a hoot. Right. Ireland 0, England 2. The most predictable scorers got their goals.
2 own goals, you mean?
I absolutely love it.
2 own goals, Marcus.
Well, come on. They're both so prolific for England that it was always going to happen.
Just sensational stuff. I mean, it's the villains of the piece. I feel that Grealish has been a touch hard done by the Irish fans because he played at age capital. He didn't actually play for the full side. That happens a reasonable amount here and there.
Yeah.
But there's apparently some history between the nations, though, Marcus, which makes it a little bit more highly strung.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to... I don't think that's Jack's fault, is it?
No, I don't think it's Jack's fault. I think I would agree broadly that a man of that level of intellect should probably be treated a little bit more kindly, I would say.
I get Rice that he played through... Although I'd be surprised... Wilfried Zaha wouldn't be booed by England if...
No.
It is different, though, isn't it?
It's definitely
different. It's very different. I understand it.
I mean, to be fair to Irish fans, Jack Grealish is a brilliantly talented player, and he played under 17s, under 18s, under 21s, and then did the off. So you can understand, and they're a bit like, oh, this is what could have been.
Yeah, but at that age, I mean,
what, 21?
Yeah. No, he wasn't 21 when he played for the...
He played for the under 21s.
He did. He was a bit younger though. Look, this is an argument we don't need to have because he very much is super Jackie Grealish now.
Exactly.
It's very nice to see pictures of him when he was younger as well, when he looked like a sort of like chimney sweep.
He did. He looked exactly like one of the people who danced behind Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. 100%.
Yeah,
100% correct.
I love the fact that we saw an apology from an apologetic celebration, which Vish said in his fantasy football career
he would do for Sri Lanka
if he scored for England against Sri Lanka.
That's right. Yeah.
But we saw Declan Rice do it. Jack, no bother. Because again, never had a full senior cap, so it's not the same for him. I did like the fingers in the ears though.
He's having a lovely old time.
He's
yeah, but it's fine because everyone would laugh at us if it was the same.
It's true.
It's not the same, is it?
But you're talking into a green mic, cheering on England against Ireland.
Well, that's Jordan Pickford wore green in the Euros.
He did actually. That's why you asked that specific colour, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
So if you want me to get the raven on this podcast, I need Pickford green on my mic.
Indeed, yeah. Look, all joking aside.
Yeah, and by the way, Irish listeners, they were jokes. Yeah. We're only joking. Yeah. We're all friends here.
Uh-huh.
We're all brothers and sisters together, aren't we, Marcus?
If they'll let us be.
If they'll let us be.
Yeah. Look, come on, they see the humour in this as well. I mean, in fact, they were getting booed. Jack really says after the game when he was getting booed, he smiled. I was just like, just bring it on kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Rice was very...
But we know that we constantly say on this show, for example, I'm not sure if listeners or other football fans would agree, but our take, and I think it's a correct take, is that if you go in there to make an active decision to boo a player, these are top-level athletes.
They have the right to reply.
It could bite you because it could give them extra motivation, and then, of course, they do have the right to reply. So it can cut both ways.
Yeah. And also, when Jack Grealish puts his fingers in his ears, he's not going, how'd you like that, the whole of Ireland? He's directly addressing the people in the stadium, right? That's the difference.
You need to ask him.
I'd love to ask him.
I don't think that... I think it was a bit pantomiming. Of course they're going to boo. I get it, for crying out loud.
It's always a bit pantomime.
Did you like the thing when the snakes are back?
Yeah.
So
presumably St. Patrick would have dealt with them, though.
He would have, exactly. I love the Jack Charlton banner in the crowd. You see that?
Oh, right.
It's a massive, big banner of Jack Charlton. Looking great, and then it said, "Thank you for the days." It's really nice.
That's nice. That is very, very good as well. But I think, I mean, look, if the boot was on the other foot, I think it might be a bit more unsavoury, So
but
there we are. Anyway, let's not get into that.
Well, like for example, someone might tweet, for example, "up the ram." That could make it a little bit worse.
I've only recently become aware of this.
It's a long time ago now.
Yeah, Declan Rice did this while playing for Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that as a little frisson of excitement to proceedings, which might be why he didn't celebrate. I don't know if he did it. Why he didn't celebrate?
I'm desperate to move on. But let's talk about the actual game rather than all that stuff. So yes, Lee Carsley got.
Forget the nonsense. Let's talk about Lee Carsley before the game. Fucking hell.
No, I want to talk about football before we talk about all that crap.
Yeah, okay.
Lee Carsley disgracing the nation, quite frankly. Yeah.
I'm confused though, Marcus. I haven't actually seen his resignation coming yet.
Come on, we'll get there in a minute because he got off to a winning start.
He did.
He celebrated the goals.
He did.
So proving that
out loud as well, a hypocrite.
Yeah, I know.
I thought he was focused on the football.
But before the game, though, other than all that nonsense about the national anthem and so on, there has been a lot of talk about Carsley, Carsball, as the tabloids and me are desperately trying to push.
Carsy ball.
And the style of play and all that kind of stuff. And Anthony Gordon, who started the game, of course, said in an interview before the game that, and I quote, "the freedom to express yourself was missing from Euro 2024. We can control games, but we weren't dynamic, we weren't relentless, we lacked dynamism and excitement." A lot of people would agree with that. In fact, I think that's
hard to disagree with.
It is hard to disagree because England weren't exciting. No. There was exciting moments, which Gordon talked about, but they weren't exciting. So I thought that was quite interesting that a player said that. I mean, he only got, about 5 or 6 minutes of action at the Euro, so it's not as if it's Harry Kane saying
Which
it,
could be
example.
partly why he said it.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a unique situation there, isn't he, where he's obviously got a lot of personal disappointment not getting onto the pitch and not being able to affect the game. We were all crying out for him the whole way through it, so he also has nothing to lose in this situation, particularly because when he's given this interview, he almost certainly would have known he's going to start under Carsley. I think that it's completely reasonable for him to be sort of honest in the way he has there, because I think it's a fair assessment.
But it's also the other two things that underpin it are the fact that he didn't feature much in the Euros. He's probably frustrated about that, but also the type of player he is. If you're someone who say plays in Declan Rice's position, or maybe you're a centre back, of course you understand you want your team to win and you want to. It'd be great if you could score a lot of goals and everyone's happy with you, but really, if you're a centre-back, it's not as prevalent as if you're a wide attacking player where you think, right, I've got the handbrake on here, I'm being hamstrung by this system, I can't do what I want to do. And I think particularly Gordon was more likely to say this kind of thing chiefly because he would have seen what was happening on the left side in the Euros and thinking he can improve it. And of course, based on Saturday, and it's only one game, small sample size against an average team, he did provide that width that everyone was crying out for, and he was able to stretch the play, and him playing with Grealish kind of nominally behind him, being able to drift in, because it felt a bit to me like Grealish was playing number 10 really.
Yeah,
well,
he was.
Yeah,
Villa Grealish was back. It was lovely.
But he nominally started on the left, didn't he? Behind.
Well,
Gordon.
I think Grealish, he would sort of he would drift, because he's used to playing out wide. He has played in the middle.
So it created the space for him, is what I was going to say.
Exactly, and that's what he's going to do. I mean, what did you think of the game as an overall, Jim? Were you pleased with England? Certainly first half.
I thought it was obviously, as Luke says, it is a small sample size, but I thought they controlled the game really well. The passing was very tidy, very intricate, and one thing I enjoyed seeing, maybe my memory's wrong on this, but England sort of drove forward a lot in the way they didn't really so much at all in the Euros. And again, I know it's probably silly to compare a whole tournament to one game, but they did flow a lot more. They were a lot more kind of intentional. They set the agenda a lot more. They were clearly the better team and sort of revelled in it, which I suppose is something we've seen quite a lot from England in qualifying. I was impressed with essentially every individual player. I thought Levi Colwill did really well. He's been a little bit unsung. He was really, really solid. Trent Alexander-Arnold looked fantastic. I think he's got a real chance of finally making that right-back spot his own for England, especially with Kyle Walker obviously getting older. I thought Rice had a great game. Gordon was really, really refreshing to see. Kane wasn't quite at his best, but he looked a lot more himself than he did in the Euros. Kobbie Mainoo was really good as well, threaded things together really well. So many positives. And I saw quite a few people saying that England sort of slacked off in the second half, and it was a little bit of the same old. Could go for the kill, but they've not really quite done it. And I think that might be kind of splitting hairs a little bit. I thought that was a little bit overblown. I mean,
because they had some chances towards the end of the game.
They could have added, but I mean, you're 2-0 up against an opponent that's not really bothering you, and it's early days in the season and all that kind of stuff. I understand from a sort of spectacle, it's slightly disappointing, but interesting when you compared it to the Euros, and I think you're right to use that word Euros because we've said before, and I'm not going to suddenly do a big old defence or dissect Gareth Southgate's time as England manager because we've done that and we've moved on from that, but a lot of people have been saying, the handbrake's off and all this chat about handbrakes and so on. And look, again, without labouring the point, that type of performance that England put in, OK, there may have been the odd little passing move or a Trent Alexander-Arnold raker from right back to Gordon that led to the first goal.
That was an absolutely amazing pass.
Yeah, so there are the odd detail here and there that didn't happen under Southgate because Kyle Walker's not going to play that pass, for example. But there are plenty of games where Southgate's England just went at teams and just blew them away. And people say, well, name them. All right, the 7-0 against North Macedonia, for example. There was, the 4-0 away to Hungary, the 6-2 against Iran at the World Cup,
4-0 against Ukraine in the previus Euros.
Exactly. So there's a few examples. So when people start comparing it to Southgate, firstly I think it's a bit silly, but I think just let's see what Carsley's got going and enjoy this. However, when Gordon says that in the interview, I suppose people are naturally going to do that. And
there's a lot of squad crossover. There's connective tissue there, so it's a reasonable thing to do.
Also, the opposition again, Ireland were there for the taking. They play in a way that England are used to. They set up in a way that England shouldn't really have difficulty in breaking down. They're not really posing a threat due to the personnel on both sides. And England are a far superior side.
Yeah, and I think what's happened, and again, it is only one game, but what's happened is Carsley's made decisions which I suppose are probably easier for him to make because it's a fresh start and he's not really got any inbuilt biases about how he wants to do things because he's only just started. But picking some players that people were crying out for in the summer that didn't really happen is going to give fans and people watching the game a far more positive impression because it's like, oh great, you're playing Trent at right back, cool, we quite wanted that. And
first time he started at right back for England for almost 4 years.
Exactly. And oh great, you're playing Gordon, which everyone's crying out for all summer. Oh great, you've picked Grealish, and a lot of people respectfully who watch England, if they're not Man City fans, they're not going to watch Man City every week. They're going to have pigeonholed Man City away as being a brilliant team, not really care that Grealish hasn't played that much because they're going to go, Grealish is really skillful. He's a really eye-catching player. We want him to play. And I wouldn't have been surprised at all if people were more pissed off than perhaps we realised that Grealish didn't feature in the Euros, right?
Yeah, it was a big surprise.
So he comes back and plays well. That again makes you look at it a bit differently.
Yeah.
I agree with your assessment about, was it really that different? Not really. I mean, England weren't great in the Nations League before, so maybe it's different for that reason.
Compared to the Euros, though, I think the Euros England were a bit. But
yeah.
So I think, as I say, when people say, eat Southgate's England, again, there's enough to say. But the Euros, yes. And I think this is what England fans wanted. Something a little bit more exciting than what they'd seen in the summer. So, and they got that. And one or two of the players, as you say, Luke, who England were crying out with. I mean, I suppose Carsley was helped, for want of a better word, that there were some injuries because if Cole Palmer's fit, does Jack Grealish start there? Perhaps not. I mean, this is the and that's the thing.
Cole Palmer could have played better.
Well, he might. And
everyone loves Cole Palmer anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's a magnificent player. So this is something that Carsley is going to have to manage with regards to keeping so many talented players happy, and that is a big thing.
I would also add that he brought on 4 of the 5 subs he made were to introduce exciting, interesting, and in some cases new attacking players who looked quite coherent, who didn't look like, for example, when Hodgson chucked on a load of attacking players in Euro 2016 against Iceland, it seemed coherent. Gibbs White linked up quite nicely with the players that stayed on the pitch, and Gomez looked okay when he came on. Eze was probably unlucky not to score because there was a chance that Saka could have squared to him and didn't bother, and the rebound came out to him quick and he couldn't get over the header. He was in good positions, and another day he would have scored because Saka would have played him in and it would have been a fucking tap-in. Yeah. So there's all these other things going on as well which were positive. But, what I should also add, and I think it's really important that we don't let this go unsaid, Gordon is going to give a certain type of interview because, as Jim's already said, he probably knew he was going to start the game, right? And players are happy when they're picked. Players will talk about the future positively when they're being picked in squads and picked in teams. And there will be an element of this, put aside all your kind of classic older Alan Pardew lines and stuff, but there will be an element of a kind of new manager bouncing about England because they want to be impressing. They understand how competitive it is to be a part of this squad because there's so many talented English players. And the example I'd use would just be Morgan Gibbs-White, who was full of the joys of it when he gave an interview about it, and it was picked up in the press. But of course he's going to be.
But I love that with him and Gomez when they phoned each other. Yeah, and they said they were just jumping around.
But he was talking. That was amazing. Yeah. That was really nice.
Very wholesome content. But
it was. But what I'm speaking of specifically is the comments he made about Lee Carsley.
Yes.
The reason he's doing that, of course, is because he probably sincerely believes those comments, but also because he's been knocking on the door and wanting to play for England for such a long time, and he's never really been able to do so. Well, now he's going to be able to do so. Of course he's going to be happy. Of course he's going to want to keep the manager happy and say these things. So we have to bear in mind that generally players are happy when they're picked and not happy when they're not.
Yeah, but that is a very general way of looking at it, and I think that's a fair assessment. But I mean, the way Angel Gomez, who was very eloquent, by the way, in his chat, I could listen to him for a lot longer. The way he spoke about Carsley, it was the detail of the chat about Carsley, and a lot of the players have said this, that they are very happy with him there. And of course, it bodes well. We took Southgate with the under-21s, and a great example would be obviously Luis de la Fuente going through the ranks at Spain. So it all bodes well for Carsley at the moment, and his playing style has been talked about a lot. And it seems to be like that will be more dynamic, more exciting, more goals perhaps, all the stuff that we kind of want. But Carsley did respond to some of the questions and comments about England playing with more freedom and said, we have to be careful with the term freedom. We have tried to get really effective players in really effective areas to do what they're good at. If you call that freedom, maybe it is. But within that, there comes a real responsibility out of possession. We made the pitch really small and were able to suffocate Ireland and get the ball back. And Carsley is very, very well. As I say, he was the first coach that England sort of created a role for someone specifically, out of possession coach. So it's the details that he has on the game. But you saw when he's talking about that, trying to get effective players in the areas and do what they do, he's trying to put round pegs in round holes, which is something that perhaps didn't really happen at the Euros when it was very conservative, and perhaps for reasons. Kane wasn't fit, Jude Bellingham wasn't, he was exhausted, all this kind of stuff without going on over old ground. But without a doubt, Jim, there does seem a bit of freshness and excitement with Carsley at the
Absolutely.
helm.
And also, you've used the word coach rather than manager twice there, and that feels appropriate because everything we've seen from him, as you say, is about detail. We'll come on to the stupid Anthem stuff, and even that relates to it. He's got so much planned. Clearly, he's at the iPad the whole game. There is clearly a plan for there is clearly a plan for sort of every scenario, and you want someone that details oriented and that hands on. And the continuity from the under-21s we've spoken about a lot as well, because it's similar to De La Fuente and also to Southgate. And I really think actually, if performances continue on like this, he can't really have done much more in terms of an audition. Obviously, it's only one game and there are more to come. But I think that experience and how much the players love him, how much they have that continuity there already, him demonstrating what he's about as a coach. I mean, if you look at someone like Graham Potter potentially coming in over Carsley, is Potter really good enough that his qualities outweigh the advantages that Carsley clearly has? I don't know that's the case. I think he might even make that point with Eddie Howe as well. So I think he's in a really good position here.
Yeah, he is. You have to bear in mind, though, I mean, it's pretty low pressure stuff.
Sure.
For the England manager. I mean, obviously, there's a certain amount of pressure that comes along with being the England manager anyway. But I think it's interesting about the philosophy and how he wants to play and and all that good stuff. But if he was to keep the job long term, and it wasn't just for Nations League, and March when the qualifiers for the World Cup starts, if that starts off difficult and England get a tough draw, and then all of a sudden you're going away to somewhere hard, that's when it's really interesting to see how he wants to play. Because if he really sticks to his philosophy. And it doesn't go his way, and England don't qualify or whatever, I mean, it's a disaster.
Yeah, well, it's the same old thing, isn't it? Like how do you play against a team who are better than you? Because England have got into a position now where they don't do that very often.
And then what will happen is the whole cycle will continue. All the media will be like, well, we need someone now who can stop us conceding goals. You go 5, 6, 7 games as England manager conceding goals, and some of them are a bit silly because you're playing crazy football, then people are going to complain about that as well. Unless it's absolutely perfect. It's very, very difficult. So at the moment, it's a good start. Stakes are low, though. And we'll see what happens.
But with an England manager, there's always going to be some nonsense that you have to deal with. Quite a lot of nonsense. He caused a stir before the game.
Media generated themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't cause a stir. Yeah. There was a stir because Carsley said he would not be singing the national anthem. Now,
well, I tell you what, actually, sorry to cut in, but just to clarify what I mean by that, you could actually, in fairness, probably argue he's been a bit naive. So he maybe did create part of the stir by the way he answered the question.
Do you think, though, that he knew there would be a stir because he wouldn't sing the national anthem and people go, that's because he tried to own it, really?
Are you suggesting he's caused a practice stir to show that he can deal with a stir?
I think it was a planned stir.
And he's gone stir crazy.
He has. And he didn't sing the anthem when he was an Ireland player. He said that, his reasons were he was always focused. I actually have an ounce of sympathy with that view, because I've often wondered, if you are a player and you're there, would singing the national anthem, like obviously some players belt it out and they get up for it, but actually it's
not everyone likes singing, right?
Well, but it's quite a performative thing, and if you're not that way inclined,
I think we've had a reminder here, Marcus, haven't we, that different people are different, and like to express themselves in different ways.
You're a disgrace.
Interesting that you use the word performative as well, because I think we've seen a lot of performative outrage about this.
Well, look,
let's go through.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I have to be honest. When he first said that, I thought, take his passport away. But then they won, and I thought, well, okay, you're a British
citizen. Back to zero.
You're a British citizen on an interim basis.
You can have a citizen's card for a bit.
You got to earn that.
Do you want you to sit the test?
Oh, you can have the passport, but not one of those lovely new blue ones.
So here's some of the bollocks that was said. Headline in let's name him, the Daily Mail, for an article by Jeff Powell, MBE.
He's got an MBE. What does that stand for?
It's massive bell end. I don't know. Sorry, a cheap gag, but one. Tap-ins count.
I think he's earned it.
Tap-ins count. The FA should sack Carsley today.
That was on the day of the game, by the way.
Any Englishman who refuses to sing the national anthem is not fit to be our manager.
So I love refuses, as if like someone from, say, the government goes around.
They're trying to work his mouth as the...
You're going to sing the anthem. You're going to sing the anthem. Yeah. You're going to sing the anthem. No, I'm not.
What? It's like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him in a fucking
make him sing. So Jeff Powell, MBE, speaking on behalf of everybody there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's nice to have a member of the British Empire to speak on behalf of us all.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people like us wouldn't have a voice, would we?
Should sack Carsley today.
Yeah.
It just removes any credibility he might hope to have in the conversation.
Well, those of us who've consumed Jeff Powell's work in the past, Jim, would say that ship has long since sailed.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming back in the harbour. No, he's going out.
Yeah.
Headline in the Telegraph, all the usual suspects.
Absolute comic.
For an article by Jason Burke. If Carsley doesn't sing the anthem, he can't expect to manage England.
Well, he does manage England, though, doesn't he, Jason? And you've got no say in this. Yeah. You influence it in no way at all.
Yeah.
You can't expect to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Jamie O'Hara.
Oh, good.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I thought to myself, let's put Jamie on the radio. Let's get a bit of calm and some composure.
He'll cut through the noise.
He's lost the entire nation, according to Jamie. Lost us all, Jim. Every single one of us.
Yeah. A man who's almost certainly lost his car on more than one occasion.
Yeah, and the man who also... There's no way... what I would do if I was on the radio...
He's definitely turned up the airport without his passport.
If I was on the radio with Jamie O'Hara and he said that, I'd say, right, OK, sing it now then.
Yeah.
There's no way he remembers all the words. No way.
Oh, dear. And we'll end with a bit of Harry Redknapp, shall we, on this section. He did concede that Carsley's personal circumstances should give him some leeway on this occasion. So you think, OK, maybe on this occasion. Is Harry? Is he?
What does he mean by that, though?
Is he approaching some sort of logical, rational thinking? And then he went on to say, "It doesn't matter where you're from. For me, if you're in charge of an English team, you should sing it in 99% of circumstances, at least. At least 99%."
What I love about this is that historically, one of the FA's red lines is being Harry Redknapp. You might argue he is the least qualified person
we
to weigh in on this.
We don't care if you'll sing the anthem, Harry. There's loads of reasons we just simply cannot give you the job.
You're not doing
it.
It's like he's trying to convince younger people that he actually was England manager once.
Harry, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get away with it by singing the national anthem in the dock. That's not going to get you off.
As you carted off, you say, "God save." No, it doesn't.
Well, I just think the discourse before the game, it was embarrassing, this stuff, and it was shameful, and it made me wonder why we haven't moved on as a media industry when it comes to this shit. And I know, fair enough, it was just the usual suspects, but we've seen so many instances now of people trying to use football to extend this culture war bullshit. Right?
I think it's worse now than it was previously.
We had the rainbow kit amendment to the St George's flag thing recently.
The playful update.
The playful update. Before that, we had the knee, didn't we? Taking the knee. That was a big thing for ages because people just wanted to make a big deal of it. Now we've got this. I just don't really know what people are trying to achieve with it other than whip up bad thing. And I would say, one thing I would say, I don't want to get too kind of serious about it, but I think it is important to say, in light of what's happened over the last couple of months, it's fertile ground for this stuff. And there's been people out there in the media who have said things that they've probably thought at the time, "Oh, this is a bit cheeky, but I'll get away with it." And all of a sudden, I'm not drawing a direct link, but it's certainly contributing to people rioting on the streets, people getting seriously hurt, etc., etc. So you have to be careful when you start whipping this stuff up, because we should all be moving on from this. The whole idea that we live in a free democracy is that people can express themselves however they want to express themselves, and that's a good thing. So it's not as though he's like taking out an England shirt and wiping his arse with it when the anthem's coming on,
which would be weird, but also
it would be really weird. It would be memorable, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
memorable.
In a sort of tribute to his days as an Ireland player. So I'll give you this.
I mean, it would give us something to talk about anyway.
Yeah,
I hope he does it against Finland.
Similar to wiping your arse around Jeff Powell's columns.
There we go. Oh, blimey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is one of these situations where. Obviously everybody has different priorities, but I think offence is in some cases something you can choose to take. And I think there are probably very, very few people who are actually bothered by this. But it's just entirely performative. Yeah. And in some cases, they feel they're supposed to have this opinion because of these sort of silly headlines. And it's nonsense.
I know. Well, gentlemen, let's move away from all that kind of crap and talk about something much better that was coming from England. So we go to Old Trafford because former England captain Wayne Rooney, who also didn't sing the national anthem, by the way, when he was a player, was playing for Manchester United legends against Celtic legends. And my goodness, he looks fantastic. He whipped in a beautiful free kick, rolling back the ears. Glorious stuff.
Proper top corner stuff.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper didn't dive for it, which is a bit annoying aesthetically, but he's never getting to it even if he tries.
But the thing is, though, in obviously a free kick, it's even if it's a legends match and people are taking it easy, that's still an achievement. But the game finished 1-1 and went to penalties, so they were taking it seriously. It's a proper one.
His penalty was amazing as well.
Yeah, it wasn't like a 7-0 or something. None of that stuff.
Eric Jemba was playing.
Of course he was.
The Rooney free kick.
Legends.
It was, quite. The Rooney free kick was amazing, chiefly because, and I want to choose my words as carefully as I can here, because I do absolutely love Wayne Rooney. I loved him as a player and I love him as a man now. It's quite confusing to see a free kick that good come from someone that looks like that. Because he's obviously, look, we all have. We get a bit older, put on a bit of weight, your hair goes grey. Yeah. It's a familiar path we've all walked down.
We don't see footballers.
No, and for him to be in the kit and have a little trot around, you're not expecting that kind of explosive technique.
No.
But it looks so good when it happens.
He's still solid, though, isn't he? That's the thing that we've learned from seeing him in a football kit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's like a bouncer.
But that technique's never going to leave him, though, is it?
Indeed, but when so briefly going back to the Ireland-England game, that silly sod who ran on the pitch when it was during the team photo or the anthems or whatever before the game, again, he didn't look like a footballer, despite being in the full kit. How surely the security should have picked him up earlier, is what I'm saying. But anyway, also speaking of legends matches, Jurgen Klopp managed Borussia Dortmund legends at the Westfalen Stadium, which was quite nice to see. He was giving it the big one, as you can imagine, and the fans
quite interesting to see him in the kit. Yeah, he had the gear on, didn't he?
He did have the gear on, yeah. Asked about what he's currently doing. He says, I'm working, but not as much as I used to. I'm not just doing nothing, but sometimes I am. I don't miss anything. That's lovely to hear that.
What a mystery.
It's a quote specifically designed to all these football managers. These football owners could say, stop fucking ringing me.
Leave me alone.
I told you I don't want to do anything at the moment. Leave me the fuck alone.
All right, coming up in the second half, we've got Steve McClaren's first game as Jamaica boss, a French falling out, and Emi Martinez celebrates with the Copa America trophy.
God.
See you in a moment.
Put on a proper suit, do up your tie, and sing the national anthem.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. That was David Cameron shouting at Lee Carsley or Jeremy Corbyn. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Yogi Loves Fingers, for sending us that clip. The Discord has asked for the full national anthem, but we did decline.
It goes on a bit.
Because we're not patriotic enough.
It's a terrible week for Yogi Loves Fingers as well, because he's famous on the Discord for absolutely hating Jack Grealish as well.
Oh, no.
So it's come back to bite him there.
It does, yeah. Oh, dear. Well, he can find solace in those fingers. You can become a friend of the Ramble too by heading over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. You'll get access to the Discord where you can chat with us and other Ramble listeners and get ad-free episodes of the Football Ramble up front and on the continent. And a reminder that if you want to get in touch with your stories, questions for the mailbag, or in response to anything at all, then email us show@footballramble.com. That's show@footballramble.com.
Yeah.
Right, back to the Nations League. Portugal 2, Scotland 1. Oh, it's that man again. Cristiano scored the winner in a heartbreaking defeat for the Scots, Jimmy.
They don't do any other type of defeat, do they? It's maddening.
Yeah, they do. They get battered a lot.
That's heartbreaking if you're Scottish.
Yeah.
So any defeats.
Yeah.
No one's going, oh, brilliant, thank God we got battered. Are they?
No.
The point is they went a goal up, though. There's a goal of great quality as well.
From Napoli's Scott McTominay.
Yeah, whipped in by Kenny McLean. Great delivery and fantastic header. And but as soon as that goal went in, so
as good as it got. Really.
We've got a Scottish contingent in the WhatsApp group, haven't we? The Ramble WhatsApp group, and people were piping up, and the Scotsman himself, Big Rory, was like, "Well, listen, don't worry about it."
He said it's got 4-1 Portugal written all over it.
Yeah.
So be pleased to get out with just the 2-1 loss.
Yeah. Angus Gunn had a really good game.
Well, he had to.
Yeah, it could have been 4-1.
It was a shame for Gunn that they didn't get at least a point.
Yeah.
Because he had a brilliant game. It might have done a bit better with Bruno Fernandes.
Well, I was going to say, if that's the only real mistake he made. If he hadn't made that mistake, he would have got out of there with a point.
Possibly.
So it cuts both ways, doesn't it?
Oh, we're going right into chaos theory there, eh?
Well, you've got to think about these things, Marcus.
I think
it's not really chaos theory to say if a man saved a goal he should have saved.
On the 54th minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, they might not have, they would have been one. Anyway, look, again, don't suck me into your nonsense.
Well, I think he would have saved it if he had sung the Scottish national anthem.
Just that bit better.
Yeah.
He did make some brilliant saves. He had a great game, and it was gutting for him in particular that they couldn't hold on for that point, and old Ronnie got the goal late on. He had a couple of other chances. Headers, obviously. He loves a header, doesn't he? I mean, he's always loved a header. My goodness. Head on a stick, you called him, Luke, during the summer.
He's turned into that. But he has turned into that because he came off the bench in this game and he popped up and he should have scored a couple of his head.
That's how he should be used.
Yeah.
Especially in games like this when they're well on top. If you don't have to worry about anything coming out.
He doesn't agree.
No.
Yeah,
and he's the one picking the team. I don't know why he didn't start.
It's true. Did you know that Roberto Martinez's wife is Scottish?
I do now.
I knew that because it's been written down this running order for us, but I didn't know that before. No.
How about that?
Well, did he not mention it when you were in the bogs with him?
Wait.
Did he not go, I'd love to stop and chat, Marcus, but my Scottish wife is outside, so I've got to go?
I'll be honest with you. At one point when we were in the bogs, he was trying to take his wedding ring off.
Oh, was he?
No.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
What, did you do the same, did you? That's why, both of you together. Outrageous.
Let's put these over here, Roberto.
and let's renew our vows to each other. And he said, no, I can't. My Scottish wife's outside. And that's how you found out.
Fair enough.
That's how you found out she was Scottish.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. No, he was on his own. I assume he had a wedding ring on. I wasn't checking, obviously. But yes, nice to know his wife is Scottish.
Yeah, I mean... Is it? Yeah. Quite it's relevant, really, isn't it? What, do you reckon he's rubbing it in her face?
It's the Martinez's derby, this.
It is.
Not that we know.
He did say he wanted to...
rubbing it in her face.
He said something along the lines of how he wanted to shut his father-in-law up or something. I don't know if it was quite as extreme as that. So I imagine there will be a little bit of rubbing in faces. faces.
While tucking into a tunnocks.
Yeah, you'd know more about that than me, clearly, Mark.
What, tunnocks or
the inner workings of the Martinez? The inner workings of the Martinez family politics.
I don't rub anything into the faces of the Scots or the Martinezes. Thank you very much.
It's good to get a clarification on that.
Indeed
I would like to add further weight to the idea that Angus Gunn made some amazing saves. He made an amazing save where I think it was Ronaldo following it up and he clawed it off the line. Oh no, Ronaldo headed it into the post and he clawed it off the line and João Felix was coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, the weapons that Portugal have got.
Yeah.
You know, Ronaldo, Jota,
rude, but
Felix. It's amazing. It is amazing.
Look, they one of the best international teams around, you would say, certainly in personnel.
So it was sad for them to lose in that way. I mean, the really galling thing, not just if you're Scotland, but if you're any nation on the end of this kind of stuff, you know, you hold out. 2 minutes from the end, Ronaldo scores and he does that fucking celebration.
Yeah.
And you're like, God.
I don't think he did. He didn't do the celebration.
He did.
Oh,
did he? Very much did.
Sorry,
The whole crowd went with him.
I'm thinking of the 900th where he was all like, I can't believe I've done it.
We've moved beyond that now, mate.
901.
Return to normal service.
Do you know now that he'll be...
He's going for 1,000, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to stop him.
Let's hope Saudi Arabia do the good thing and just let him get that up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then
he does it all in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
like
one season he saw the 100 goals next season. You know,
Okay.
first man to do it as far as
That won't cheapen it.
No, certainly not. But yeah, it's been a tough start for Scotland. And again, you look at that loss against Poland, you think, oh, yeah.
Croatia next in the group as well. It's a difficult one.
Very frustrating.
They're punching above their weight in Nations League stuff.
But you've got to find the positives, and the positives are that they were...
They beat Gibraltar in June.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The last win they had for ages.
They had a lovely time that day.
Yeah, and that's a derby in a sense, in a way.
Why?
Isn't it? You know,
sort of, yeah.
One
home nations.
Yeah, one. Eddie, I'm not going to go into that.
They smashed the Falklands that time.
Don't have a team.
They only, can I just say, I don't want to kick them when they're down, but they only scored the second against Gibraltar with like 4 minutes left.
Oh, come on. It's a Hong Kong 11 kind of situation. Ahead of the tournament.
There we go.
But yeah, so the positives are they were decent in large parts against Poland. Obviously, didn't get the result. And here, you know, it was only a couple of minutes left, and they got pipped.
But they can put together 45 minutes, 60 minutes. They can do this, but they just keep getting caught out because they can't put that together for the whole 90, and that's the real issue with them at the moment. But in the Nations League context, you know, they're in a probably way above where they should be. You know, so it's all relative. I mean, they'll probably get relegated from that group, but I mean, no one's really expecting anything different, are they?
I wouldn't have thought so. Craig Bellamy, his first game as Wales manager, got off to, I think, a promising start. It was a 0-0 draw against Turkey. Now, Turkey were down to 10 men after 62 minutes. But Wales were the better side.
Let's see how we can patronise them.
Yeah.
What would you...
I think Craig Bellamy patronised him by the way he was dressed on the touchline.
I liked his lovely jumper in the post-match, though. He looked like a fisherman.
He changed for that, though. He looked like he was going for a night down Faces.
Yeah. Well, that's all right, isn't it?
I just think Guardiola started this, didn't he?
Yeah.
I just think that you have to, for me, and call me a bluff old traditionalist all you like, I think if you're on a touchline as a manager, you've got to go formal wear or training kit.
Yeah,
I don't agree.
Night out.
The Mikel Arteta fan club again.
Oh, is that why? Is that why, Jim?
Well, look, I strongly believe that you can wear whatever you like. Apart from the FA Cup final, you should wear a tuxedo, players included. You know that. I just think it doesn't matter.
Okay, fine.
And I think Bellamy looked really good, actually.
Fine, fair enough.
But he is loving life as Wales manager, isn't he? He said, like, this is the worst we'll be, obviously, because he only took his first training session with the team a little while ago. And he is all about them just having fun. In the post-match, he said words to the effect of, you know, when you're playing with your mates when you're a kid, no one's defending in a low block.
Yeah,
you're not thinking about that stuff. And he wants them to go out and have fun, and he wants them to be aggressive and front-footed. And they had a lot of possession as well. They had like 70% possession at one point, I think. So he's going to go for it with them, which, you know, they will almost certainly come unstuck at some point, but he'll probably have a plan for teams where they know they're not going to have as much of the ball. And I think it's an exciting appointment for Wales.
Yeah, I think he takes over a decent squad.
And it's a really competitive Nations League group as well.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued how he's going to get on. He's certainly talking a good game.
Yeah,
he cuts that type of figure, so I agree with your points there, Jim. And a point against Turkey, who, you know, were great at the Euros, weren't they? Is no mean feat as well. Certainly better than poor old Northern Ireland away to Bulgaria, who lost 1-0. It was an absolutely shocking goal they conceded. So yeah, but yeah, so Wales, they're doing some good stuff. So we're intrigued to see how they get on in their next game. A big one that happened happened in the Nations League over the weekend was France 1, Italy 3 on the Friday night, of course. France scored after just 12 seconds. It was an incredible start. And then they thought, right, we must defend this lead, as is their wont. And that angered France goalkeeper Mike Magnon, who reportedly launched into a rant at his teammates after the game. Now, I heard about this and I read a bit more, and then it was described as a 2-minute rant. And I thought, yeah.
Who's timing it?
Yeah, well, indeed.
Who's timing it? No journalist would have been there. So who's timing it?
I know.
Apparently,
that does cheapen it, doesn't it?
Kylian Mbappe and Antoine Griezmann were quote unquote stunned into silence. So they ain't timing it.
They were like,
so
I can't believe it's only 2 minutes.
It's the referee in the referee's room next door going, I'm going to time this.
Maybe.
Were they stunned into silence or were they listening? Hard to tell the difference, isn't it? Really?
One is no, it's not. One's respectful and the other is, I don't know.
I'd like to just mention that Federico Di Marco scored one of the best goals I've seen for a very long time.
One of the great goals of our time.
It was amazing.
It was sheer delightful football.
Describe it for people who haven't seen it, Marcus.
He whacked it in.
There you go.
He does a 1-2. I forget who it was. Sorry about that. The ball comes into him, crossfield pass, and he's kind of out on the left wing, going towards the
he's
corner
in the left
of the
channel,
box.
isn't he? Yeah.
Channel is and he knocks it to the player, and it kind of it flicks up a bit, and then does a kind of a little. It's not like a back heel, but it's you're getting towards the back of the foot.
Yeah,
a little flick over the defender, and Di Marco runs onto it and volleys into the opposite corner. It's beautiful.
I think camera angle helps
from the left.
Camera angle helps.
It's just a glorious goal.
Yeah, do you reckon that's why Mike Magnon was pissed off? Do you reckon he thought to himself as that win, and he thought, I'm doing a 2-minute rant after this?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not good enough.
I'm going to be featured on all the highlights packages.
I understand that he's upset that they've been beaten at home. I understand that the other two goals may be a different story. But I don't think he can complain about that first goal.
I think it's the manner of the defeat. I think it's the fact that he was saying we can't just score after 12 seconds and basically hold on to that lead and sit on it. And the fact is, Italy, score the second on 51 minutes. You've got to spring into life at some point. And the goals Italy scored, that Fratesi goal was a lovely one as well. It's boding well. Bear in mind, Italy had a really poor Euros.
They did.
And we know what type of football Spalletti likes to play. It obviously didn't quite click during the summer, and there was a lot of chat about that. And there was people wondering whether he would still be in the job.
Yeah.
But he's very much buoyed by this result and performance.
Having Tonali back is big for them as well.
Yes.
But bearing in mind, you can't expect France to attack at home with those players they've got.
Yeah, that's true. Griezmann and Mbappe. I love it. Well, now we've got...
What we have, we hold. Mbappe, get down that channel, pick up your scraps.
Do your doggies.
Yeah.
Well, but France, Portugal as well, and of course England, 3 of the massive sides are disappointed in what Euros doing this sort of thing.
Scrappe. It's going to be Scrappe.
Sorry for getting in the way of that.
I was waiting for ages to say that.
Yeah. What about Riccardo Calafiore? Picked up a nasty injury, Jim. Bad news for Arsenal.
From a flying Ousmane Dembele, little calf injury. He's come back to Arsenal for assessment by the medical team. So everyone's saying it's not that bad, but I don't believe them.
Could be another Kim Kallstrom broken back scenario, Jim.
No, that was he passed the medical with a broken back.
Yeah,
at least Calafiore was serviceable football.
I'm just saying, if he's got a broken back, get Wenger back and give him a new contract.
Get him in there.
Get him in. I'm sure it'll heal soon for the weekend. Right, elsewhere, beyond Europe, Steve McClaren's Jamaica drew 0-0 with Cuba.
What a sentence!
Hey,
that's what we're here for. It's why this podcast exists.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
clean sheet in his first game.
I watched this.
Yeah,
the extended.
Did you really?
Highlights.
Blimey! If you did,
extended highlights, they should have won easily.
They should have done.
I mean, Cuba were abysmally.
Cuba were down to 10 men.
The sending off was amazing.
Yeah,
like because the guy got 2 bookings that suggest he's never played football before, doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, the one was for pulling his shirt back right in front of the ref. The other one was for bundling him to the ground while he's in on goal. I mean, the pitch was a joke as well. The pitch. I mean, McClaren needs to get that pitch better if he wants to start knocking the ball around. But there was, I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Does he want to knock the ball around?
Well, I mean, they were playing some nice stuff.
Okay.
They did seem to be impeded by the pitch on more than one or two occasions. But there was a chance for Shamar Nicholson for Jamaica. And the angle makes it difficult to tell with the highlights I saw. He could have been offside. If he wasn't offside, it's one of the worst misses I've ever seen in my life. He was, I would say, 2 yards out, and the keeper's out the picture. and he somehow managed to put it over the bar. What I'm trying to say is that they had to have won that game. Cuba were absolutely appalling, and they are an appalling team anyway. Sure. So it was a really, actually, you talk about a tongue-in-cheek, clean sheet, good platform to start his reign from. It was bad.
Yeah.
It needs to be better.
Yeah. Good to see Bobby De Cordova-Reid, though.
Well, always good to see him.
Always good to see him, Mikel Antonio, of course. So a little bit disappointing for Steve McClaren. Do you think he used some of his newly learned patois in the post-match?
I saw that video. I found that quite endearing.
I did as well. Although he was a bit strange in it, though.
Yeah, I think he is quite strange, isn't he?
Okay. Yeah, he's quite rude to the interviewer, isn't he? Just completely blanks him at one point.
So this is a video of Steve McClaren. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, trying to learn a bit of Jamaican Patois. And it's all a bit of fun, but as I say, McClaren does cut a slightly odd figure. It's not like, he's embarrassed. I don't mean he's embarrassing himself, like trying to learn it and having a bit of a laugh. He's just got
a bit odd.
It was just a bit odd the way he conducted himself.
With him asking for clarification on the term "seal it up." It's great. It's exactly what we want from this situation.
That's what they did against Cuba. They're down to 10. They're not going to score. Right, seal it up.
Cuba didn't seal it up. Jamaica just couldn't get it done.
Jamaica sealed it up because they didn't concede. Is that what he said in the post-match? Well, you guys said seal it up, right?
So I did, exactly.
Maybe this was happening to him in the Netherlands as well. Maybe people were coaching him in the accent, but we never saw that, how the sausage was made. Yeah. And then at the end, everyone's taking the piss out of him. Now we understand that people are trying to help him.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to end well for him, though, is it, if that's the case?
Well, hopefully he'll be there for
the CONCACAF Nations League, this was, by the way. They've got a Nations League as well, you guys.
We've all got a Nations League, yeah.
The CONCACAF have got a Nations League.
It's brilliant, mate.
Speaking of that, I got hit on the head by a conker on the way into work today.
What?
Yeah, it fell off a tree and banged me right on the cycle helmet. I literally just remembered that.
Oh, God.
Good old Mother Nature.
Yeah. It feels a bit like a man laying an egg. Portentous.
Portent.
It is autumn. Actually, that's not that bad.
Autumn is definitely here if I'm getting hit on the head with a conker. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
Good you're wearing your conker helmet. A lot of people don't bother.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is exactly why you need one at all times.
Stay safe. Stay conker safe.
I was just surprised that Jim hit you from that distance.
There's no way Jim's pinging me. Vish, maybe. He's a man of the bat.
I was in a tree, mate. I was in a tree.
Staying in the Americas, sort of. It's more the Caribbean. But Luis Suarez captained Uruguay on Friday night in his final international game. After the final whistle, his teammates lined up to applaud him, and a plaque was unveiled inside the stadium in his honour.
Do you know what I think could have happened?
Children had T-shirts made up.
They did, saying
very different to the ones that the Liverpool players did at that time.
What is it about Suarez and T-shirts? It said like King Papa or something, didn't it? It was quite cute.
Gracias
Papa, that's it, yeah. Is there I know this is pretty low-hanging fruit by me, but I did think it would be cool if like the plaque that was unveiled had a little bite taken out of it. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It would have been cool.
Would he have appreciated it? Or maybe they unveiled the plaque and he would do his own bite into it.
Yeah.
Quickly, it's still a bit soft.
Yeah,
it hasn't set yet.
Before it sets, yeah. Joking aside, Luis Suarez, obviously, at times, an incredibly problematic character, but an amazing football player. I mean, just Uruguay's all-time top scorer?
Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah. And second appearance holder as well.
Amazing career. Played for some massive teams, won some massive things. On his day, at his best, brilliant. I know he's still going to play club football, but it's probably a fitting time to say it, given that he's retired from international football. Just an amazing player to watch. Brilliant. And just a proper shithouse as well.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Possibly defines the position, if you can call it that.
When he was having when they mic'd up that Barcelona game, we talk about this a lot.
No, it was when they had the sort of referendum and the fans were banned.
But they were still. Okay, fine.
The players weren't mic'd up.
The game was mic'd up, and so therefore you could hear the players.
Yep.
And he was just hammering Messi for the game.
Yeah, it was class.
The greatest player to ever play the game. He's screaming at him.
He evidently doesn't care.
No. I enjoyed it.
Sometimes that was to his extreme detriment, but yes. Yeah. And it's sad that we won't see him and Emi Martinez face off come the World Cup qualifiers, of course.
Yeah. Alien versus Predator.
Oh, my goodness. Although whatever would have happened with that, we would have won that time. Yeah. And last Thursday, Argentina actually paraded the Copa America trophy in front of their home fans, which is a lovely old thing. Emi Martinez spoke about that celebration, not then, but he'd spoken about that famous/infamous celebration at the World Cup when he humped the Golden Glove, and he said that it was a stupid thing and it's the only thing I'm not proud of. But I think that Emi Martinez has an Argentinian sort of side of his character, and then he has a kind of a European, maybe more English side. And when he's here, he says certain things, but when he's out there, because having said that, he did exactly the same thing with the Copa America trophy.
Surely the thinking is like, I do regret it, but I'm the guy who humps trophies now.
Yeah, so I've got to give this one.
Got to keep doing it. Got to give the people what they want.
I love it.
The thing is, when I saw him doing the Copa America trophy, that no one's even asking him to do it, and his face is the most disrespectful. Look at his face. Look at his face. That is a dictionary definition of disrespect. Look at that face. He looks like a cartoon character.
It's a big trophy, that. Maybe he just wanted to sort of see if he could pull it off in the same way.
It's going to make his penis look tiny, that trophy. Because it's so big.
Yeah. It's his countrymen love him, as they should.
Of course they do.
As they should.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.